What a sound the 5-litre V8 in the Ford Mustang makes. I can't believe they still make this engine. But like all big motors these days, all big gas guzzlers, well, its time does feel pretty limited. There is, of course, a focus on sustainability. And while it makes this noise, burning dead dinosaurs is, well, it's just not that relevant anymore, is it? It doesn't feel appropriate. So does that mean we're gonna have to wave goodbye to these spectacular machines and these brilliant engines in just a handful of years? Well, if one British company's got anything to do with it, we might not have to wave goodbye to them like ever. Because while the Mustang here is running on petrol, the Mustang over there is running on something called synthetic fuel. Let me explain.
Developed in Britain by a specialist company called Coryton, the synthetic fuel in the British motor show Mustang is effectively CO2 neutral. It technically still produces CO2 at the tailpipe, but that CO2 has been taken out of the environment to make the fuel. Admittedly, at the moment, the process doesn't capture CO2 from the atmosphere, but rather as waste from other processes. High CO2 emitters such as production plants, concrete manufacturing sites, and even public buildings that use heating can all divert their CO2 so the carbon molecules can help to power engines before they reach the atmosphere. This means cars running on this captured CO2 aren't contributing to overall global CO2 emissions, but rather making use of existing ones. Clever stuff. Better still, the fuels Coryton makes with this borrowed carbon are said to look chemically identical to fossil fuels, so they can be handled and, crucially for the British motor show Mustang, used in the same way as normal petrol.
Yes, this 5-litre V8 is not running with petrol. And Sam Hard, you've been running this car with the British Motor Show, haven't you?
We have indeed.
So you know exactly what the hell is going on right now. Now, it feels to me, I can't tell the difference.
That is what I wanted you to say, okay? Because this car is running on something called Sustain by Coryton. So it's basically a generic made fuel, completely synthetic, right? That is basically, hopefully not going to change anything about what you're doing right now. Your acceleration, every part of this should feel, if not a little bit better, but the same as the car you were just driving.
It's interesting you say a little bit better, because the throttle response is right there. I mean, let's come out of this hairpin. Yeah, traction control didn't like that, but the engine definitely feels like it's got all of its muscle. Now, you mentioned earlier that you've actually taken this engine, you've taken the spark plugs out and you've had a little look at it. Does it look like it's running any different?
Exactly. I mean, we've tested them before and after.
Right.
The colour of the burning of the fuel is exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, nothing has changed. Not even the consistency or the viscosity of the oil has changed. So we're getting exactly the same makeup of all the stuff. So the car doesn't know any different.
That's amazing. So you haven't had to get it mapped or...
Nothing at all.
Let's see how it deals with this hairpin in the drizzle.
Yeah.
It still does the old skids. I mean, doesn't feel any different. Doesn't smell any different.
Exactly. And that's what the British Motor Show's about, right? Keeping these cars on the road. And the fuel is also keeping these cars on the road. When people think that soon we're going to have to get rid of these cars, putting this fuel in them allows us motorheads to keep our engines running, right?
Absolutely. I mean, throttle response feels the same. The sound sounds the same. This has got a different exhaust to the other cars, so it's slightly more muted. Yep. But I know these Mustangs very well, and this is exactly how they're supposed to sound. It revs out. Come on, let's get it up to 6. Yeah, pulls all the way up to where it's supposed to do. Let's do a little launch. Let me try and see if I can get off the line. I just want to feel, because obviously this car is all about this engine, right? I mean, it's a great handling car, even when you spin it around. But it revs up nicely. And it just pulls so smoothly. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5.
Straight through the rev limit. Oh, power!
Still does a bit of a skid here and there.
You got to understand that this car is a muscle car through and through that you can drive to the shops in.
And actually, with this fuel now, obviously, the only thing with this fuel is it's still only in its second phase, so there's still a lot more to come from it. What at the moment are you doing to get this car fueled up? Do you have to take it back to Coryton and then...
So at the moment, Coryton are delivering us a fuel and we're putting it in manually. Coryton at their plant do have a pump that allows us to go there and fill up. But hopefully, the way this works is, I don't think they're trying to, you know, basically replace petrol as such, but they're just trying to replace a market. So maybe the classic car industry, maybe the lorry industry, and it isn't just petrol, it's diesel too that Coryton are making. So they're making the sustainable fuel for basically every element that we can just put in the normal pumps that we already have.
That's spectacular. I mean, we're also worried at the moment, aren't we? Those of us who love our petrol and our big engine cars like this, and not even just big engine cars, I mean, just good engine cars. We don't want to lose them, even if you are pro the electric revolution, even if you're pro reducing emissions. So this feels like the perfect solution. I mean, we know recently that the EU has announced that from 2035, it will be following what the UK is doing in 2030, which is stopping the sale of purely petrol and diesel cars. But of course, they did put that caveat in there, and they said that excludes synthetic fuels.
Wow, I like that. Can we all understand and we all agree that electric is a big part of the future, right?
Yeah.
But you can't get rid of what's out there, otherwise that gets rid of the whole idea of being carbon neutral, right?
Absolutely, and as we know, there are still going to be millions, even just in the UK, millions of petrol and diesel cars, but especially petrol cars, probably way past 2040, probably way past 2050. Look how many of us run 20-year-old cars at the moment. Why is that going to change in the future? And so when you look at the global scenario, I mean, there's still going to be potentially hundreds of millions, if not billions, of petrol cars still on the roads in the future, way past when most of the, at least Western countries, will have banned the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. So stuff like this, stuff like Coryton, stuff like Sustain, well, it's very important. And crucially, it's really fun. So these are very exciting times indeed, because if Coryton can get that Sustain fuel into production and made widely available, well, it could be the ticket to ensuring that big V8 cars, just like this Ford Mustang and many other big engine cars, well, they could remain on our roads for many more years to come. Here's hoping anyway. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to click the thumbs up button, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to see these cars in the metal, you can do at the British Motor Show this August from the 17th to 20th of that month. They'll be there, and so will the Sporting Bears team. They're going to be there with loads of cars just like this, supporting children's charities for very good causes. Hopefully we'll see you there. Cinch is going to be there. Take care.